what is Section 12A, and how to get registration under Section 12. So, firstly, Section 12A of the income. It is applicable only to the charitable trust, NGOs, and Section 8 companies. What is Section 12 basically talks about the trust which would be able to apply for exemption under Section 11 and 12. So basically, in simple language, if you want to get exemption under Section 12 and 11 and 12, you need to have registration of Section 12A. The next question comes to our mind is, what are the exemptions under Section 11 and 12? So in brief, the exemption under Section 11 are namely accumulation under Form 10, the deemed application under Form 9A, or set of 15% set of which a trust or Section 8 company gets. To understand it a bit more, it can be interpreted in three different ways, all meaning the same. Firstly, it's like that a trust can have net profit up to 15% or net surplus up to 15%, and you will have to pay no tax. The second interpretation people take is a trust can have a trust must have expenses in the particular year up to 85% of its income. If the trust has 85% applied 85% of its income earned during the year, it will have to pay no income tax in that. Third interpretation, which is a bit legal interpretation, legal language to say this, is a trust can set apart 15% of its total income earned during the year. So all this basically boils down to the fact that if you want to, uh, if you want, all these things boils down to the fact that if you want all these three exemptions, the prerequisite is you must have a registration under Section 12. Why you should have a 12 registration, or why a trust or Section 8 company needs to have a 12 registration. So next point comes how to file for a 12 registration. Okay, so we'll head straight into the income tax portal. So this is the basic portal. Everyone must. This is okay. So this is the income tax portal. We'll come into income tax forms. Here we have for filing the form 10. For filing a 12 registration, the trust needs to form one of the two forms. First form is Form 10A and second is Form 10AB. So what's the difference between the two? See, Form 10 is filed by the trust who wants a provisional registration, and second Form 10AB is filed by the trust who wants a regular registration. So the basic difference between provisional and regular registration is that a trust which is incorporated recently, which has just been incorporated and has not started its activities, would file for a provisional registration for 3 years. After the 3 years pass by, before expiry of its provisional registration, it will have to file for a regular registration. But what if a trust has already commenced its activities way before, and since all these amendments came in section in the year 2021, then will the trust have to file for provisional registration again and then after 3 years for regular registration? The law has given no. Law has given a brief relief in this for the trust who have already commenced their activities before introduction of these acts and directly apply for regular registration under same Form 10A. So let's quickly look at the forms. This is the Form 10A. So this is for 12A ATG in section 35. We'll be looking here. Currently, as we are in the FY 24-25, only available AY for registration would be 25-26 if you want to file for a provisional registration. So we'll select. So these are the basic details which are required. Let's quickly guide through all of them. This is the most important part of this form, and I have seen numerous trusts who have filed the form wrong, and just because of this, there are many cases we have been dealing with some other C officers filed their forms in incorrect sections. Now the registration has been rejected, and they are fighting in ITV. So this is the most important part, selecting of section code. So let's see about section code. So what are the section codes? What are the sections? There are total 6 section codes available under section 12. These are under section 12, section 12A, subsection 1, clause AC, subclause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So subclause 1 says that if your trust was registered under section 12AA before the amendments in this act, which happened in the year 2021, then you don't need to file for a provisional regular registration. You can directly file for the renewal of your 12A registration under section 12A in subclause 1. Second, subclause 2. If you have obtained a regular registration, the regular registration is either in subclause 1 or subclause 3. So if you have already applied, if you already have a regular registration and it is due to get expired in the upcoming year, so 6 months before its expiry, you have to renew it, and at the time of renewal, you will select the subclause 2. Then third comes regular registration. Subclause 3 talks about if you have provisional registration, then before the expiry of your provisional registration, within 6 months, at least within 6 months, you will have to file for the regular registration under section 12. Unique case, not uh, this section doesn't have a lot of real life use. Very rare cases are there in which actually this section is used. So in this section, if a trust has become inoperative, you have to make it operative again. You shall file your form under this section. Again, I'm saying this section is not used very often. Again, fifth section, same. This is that if a trust has changed its objective, which happens very rarely. Generally, trusts do not change its objective, and whenever we file the Form 10A, there is a general category of objectives which we select. So this section is not selected much in real life. Now comes the most important section after the amendment, that is subclause 6. Now, what does subclause 6 say? Subclause 6 is for provisional registration. There are two items, that A and B. A talks about the trusts which have not commenced their activity. If the trust has not commenced their activity at least 1 year prior to the commencement of the previous relevant year. For example, today I incorporate my trust. The current previous year is 24-25. So before 1 month of its expiry, that is before before 28th February, I'll have to file for registration or provisional registration under clause 6 trustee and I own a trust, which is in operation since 2015, and I don't have a valid registration. So what you can do is instead of filing for provisional registration, you can directly file for regular registration. But if you file in clause 3, the same would be rejected because you don't have a active provisional registration. So you'll have to file the same in subclause 6 item B, which says that if a trust it has already commenced activity, it can directly file for regular registration under subclause 6 section B. So this is a brief about all the sections. Now, why are these important? Because if you file your registration under clause 1, which is no longer possible, and again to give you a practical approach, section subclause 1 is no longer possible because the last date for getting your provisional registration, the last date to get your registration under section 12A renewed to section 12A was 30th June 2024, and CBDT issued a circular dated 25th April, which stated that the last date to get your 12AA converted into 12A was 30th June 2024. Hence, this section is also not applicable right now. The only sections you'll be working most often are subclause 2, subclause 3, and subclause 6. Main difference is that if you file for registration under section subclause 6 item A, there is no scrutiny. You file the form 10A within 7 days, the provisional registration will be reflected on your portal. But if you file for registration under subclause 2, 3, or 6B, there would be an intense scrutiny. A questionnaire would be issued of around 50 questions, and you will have to answer the same. And if the CITs, the Commission of Income Tax Exemption, is satisfied with your reply, it will grant you the 12 registration. Coming back to the form, so here you have to select the subclause, we'll select subclause 6, then the nature of activity. Now, why this thing is important? See, 12 registration can be obtained by any charitable activity, any trust. 12 registration can be obtained by any trust, whether it be religious, charitable, or religious and charitable. But the twist comes here is, generally, whenever trust applies for income tax registration, it applies for 12A and ATG. ATG would be covered in the next video. But if while filing 12A registration, you select religious trust, you can't obtain ATG registration. Because while you file, just to give you an example, if I select ATG here, there is no option for religious trust. So, right, even if you have a religious trust, you can't obtain. If you have a completely religious trust, registration under section ATG won't be possible. But you have a trust which has religious objectives as well as charitable objectives, select religious consent. Okay, so we'll start with charitable. Then type of it is a trust, society, or section 8 company, whether it was established under an instrument. Instrument basically means you have to give information about your incorporation certificate, whether it be from MPT Act or any trust act or societies act. Then this is another most important, that is objectives of the appeal. It shall align with the objectives given in the trustee. Also, remember that these are only 8 objectives allowed under section 215 of the income. If any of your activity is not covered in these 8 objectives, it is not a charitable activity, and while you are in scrutiny, the registration can be cancelled if you are indulged in any activity apart from these 8. Then whether the trust contains and clause B, the trust is irrevocable. It must be there. So, next. Other part comes the details of registration the trust has, which is FCRA, which is if the applicant is registered on the Urban Portal, FCRA Act, or any other act, whether your application was rejected in the past, and all these things. So these are few basic details of key person, that is the trustees, directors, managers. Then details of assets and liabilities. These are to be filed for the previous year for which you are filing. These are to be filed for immediately previous year for which relevant KY you are filing this form. Then after your assets and liability, you have to give the income details. After you give income details, here you will give details about your declaration from your trustee and attachments. So what kind of attachments are compulsory and what kind of optional? First is self-certified copy of instrument creating or establishing the trust. Here you can attach your trustee. Then self-certified copy of document evidencing creation of the trust. Here you have to attach your registration certificate. Again, self-certified copy of registration register. Similarly, you can attach your registration certificate here. Then here you will have to attach your 3 audit reports or of the here you will have to attach your audited financials of last 3 years or of how many years you have been incorporated. And others are not compulsory sections, hence it is advised not to give much information in this, as you have to face a scrutiny anyway. So this is the basic form. Similarly, form 10A is almost similar. Most of the provisions are same. There is nothing more extravagant than this form. We'll quickly overview that as well. Section form 10A, form 10AB. This is the main difference between form 10A and 10AB. As we saw in form 10A, only one clause was available. It is clause 6A. Here, 2 is available, 3 is available, 4, 5, and 6B. So why was there need to create 2 different forms, form 10A and form 10AB? The major difference is, as I said while explaining the subclauses, that when you file form 10A, provisional registration granted to you by CTC Bangalore would grant you the provisional registration within 7. However, when you file form 10AB, the application does not go to CTC but rather goes to CIT, Commission of Income, of your particular region. When it reaches the Commission of Income Tax, a thorough scrutiny is ordered, and after you answer the scrutiny, either the CIT will give you an approval, or either CIT will give you an approval, or he will send a show cause notice that why your application should not be rejected without the following list. In upcoming videos, I'll show you an actual notice, what comes, and how to reply to that notice. Here, most of the things in both the forms are similar. Only the main difference between 2 is the registration is granted in form 10A within 7 days, provisional registration. However, when you file form 10AB, the relevant amendment, the CIT must dispose of your case before the expiry of the next quarter in which you filed the form. Okay, so this was complete about section 12A. Any more doubts you can ask in the comment section. It was a short video just explaining how to file form 12A and what is section 12A. In further upcoming videos, I'll give you information about section ATG and a thorough and a deep insight about the scrutiny which happens in section 12. Also, we'll be discussing what to do if your 12A registration is rejected, how to reply to the show cause.